So what truly defines beauty today, really, when you think about it? Is it that perfectly sculpted look you see everywhere online? That super thin physique?
Or is it something else, like maybe the huge variety of bodies we see celebrating just natural shapes, all the uniqueness?
Exactly. And health, too. Is it all about this super strict diet and, like, intense workouts?
Or maybe a more balanced lifestyle, one that actually focuses on feeling good, not just hitting a number on the scale or looking a certain way.
These aren't just, like, philosophical questions, are they? They're right at the heart of what we're digging into today.
Totally. We're going to try and unpack how this massive thing called diet culture, plus all the aesthetic procedures becoming so normal and just pop culture constantly changing,
Yeah.
how all that has sort of reshaped how we see beauty in our bodies.
Yeah, and the goal here isn't judgment, right? It's not about saying this is good or bad or judging anyone's choices.
No, not at all. It's more about understanding the really complicated mix of all these things and the pressures, often kind of subtle pressures they create for, pretty much everyone.
That's such an important point because this is where it gets really interesting, maybe even a little unsettling. Like, have cosmetic procedures and that constant chase for the ideal body stopped being just a choice?
And become more like an obligation.
Yeah. It's a bit provocative, maybe, but when the idea of progress, how we can change how we look, becomes less about, genuine choice and more about hitting some new, maybe even tougher standard.
Where you feel like you're just not good enough unless you do these things.
Right. That feels like a huge shift. Less like an option, more like something you have to do.
It absolutely does. It means that what maybe used to be like an aspiration, something you could choose to aim for, now feels almost like society demands it.
The goalposts keep moving.
Constantly. Driven by all these outside forces. And it makes it harder and harder, I think, for people to just feel okay in their own skin without needing that external nod or, procedure. It creates this quiet but always there internal battle.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this. Starting with how beauty standards have shifted, maybe looking first at diet culture and some early reflections in pop culture.
Right. And when you mention the diet industry, it's not just big, it's enormous, a multi-billion-dollar global thing.
And it makes sense why, because navigating it is just, it's really hard. You hear people say, I've never actually stuck to a diet. It's so difficult. And it is. Physically, mentally.
And that difficulty, that feeling of maybe not being good enough that it often taps into, that's exactly why it's so profitable, isn't it? It plays on that desire for a change, often promising a quick fix for something that's actually really deep-seated, like self-worth.
Yeah. Now, you do hear the counter-argument sometimes, right? People saying, no, look, this is progress. People can afford to look how they want now. They have agency.
And, there's a tiny bit of truth to that. With better tech and more access, sure, there are more aesthetic options available to more people.
But, and this is the key thing you flagged, the real issue, the point where progress gets murky, is when looking a certain way shifts from being a choice, like a real expression of you.
Into an obligation.
Exactly. When that freedom to choose becomes this undeniable pressure to fit in, that's when it gets way more complicated and maybe a bit concerning. It stops being empowerment and starts feeling like an expectation.
Absolutely. And Hollywood has been sending us these really mixed signals for, forever, shaping how we see things in ways that often clash.
Oh, totally. I was watching an old Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode recently. Sounds silly, maybe, but the message really hit me.
Oh, yeah.
It was one where Sabrina, is a typical teenager, wants to lose weight, and she's a witch, so she thinks, forget diets, I'll use magic.
Ah, the magic fix. Classic.
Right. So she zaps herself with some weight loss spell. But, and this is where it gets interesting, she literally starts turning invisible, like fading away as her body disappears.
Wow. So the more she obsessed about losing weight, the less visible she became.
Pretty much. Her obsession made her vanish.
That's actually quite profound for a sitcom, isn't it? The message there is pretty clear.
Totally.
Well,
it's like the show was saying, even if you have actual magic powers, no spell is going to make you truly love yourself or accept yourself.
She had to realize that chasing that thin ideal made her invisible, not just literally, but like to herself, too. She lost who she was.
Exactly. And to get back to normal, to be seen again, she had to ditch the magic and just accept herself, body and all. It's a strong message about how external fixes don't really touch those internal insecurities,
Yeah, that real self-worth has to come from inside. It's a powerful little story, actually.
It really is. And while this whole theme, societal pressure around beauty, isn't new, it's probably ancient, right? The specifics are always changing. The procedures, the methods, the agenda for what the ideal even is.
Oh, definitely. It's not the same conversation now as it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10 or 20.
Think about pop culture right now, like summer 2025, those get ready with me videos are everywhere on social media.
Oh, yeah, the GRWMs.
Countless people documenting every step, skincare, makeup, outfit, looking like the star of their own little movie. It's all about that effortless perfection vibe.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, you see huge celebrities at massive events, like Jeff Bezos' wedding recently.
Right, and everyone looks, well, maximally thinned, as some people put it. It creates this weird contrast between the everyday aspirational stuff and the super elite, almost unattainable look.
And it's not just about weight. People are fascinated by every tiny change in a celebrity's face.
Totally. It fuels all this speculation online. What did they have done? We feel like we know these faces so well from movies, right? We've seen them for years.
So when something looks different, a line disappears, a feature shifts, we notice. We pick it apart.
And all that scrutiny, combined with everyone curating their own look online, it creates this feeling that we're always evaluating ourselves, doesn't it? Like we've internalized that gaze.
Exactly. It makes you feel like, I don't know, like every morning is basically a casting call. Am I perfect enough today?
Or maybe more like, is it a challenge to make sure no one can guess my age? It's this sneaky pressure that worms its way into daily life.
Yeah. Think about Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. Smoked, lived on Cosmos and coffee, stored sweaters in the oven.
Uh-huh, yeah. Not exactly a wellness guru.
Right. But she always looked amazing. Like she did 6 hours of Pilates every day and bathed in road milk for glowing skin.
It's those mixed signals from our screens. They're just bewildering. They set this almost impossible standard. Characters living these normal, messy lives but looking impossibly perfect. It forces us to constantly compare our reality to this fiction.
That contrast really nails the paradox, doesn't it? We see these figures whose lifestyles don't seem to match their appearance at all.
Right, it implies you should look like this, effortlessly, even if your life looks totally different.
Yeah.
It breeds that feeling of not being good enough.
Which brings us really neatly into our next topic, the digital mirror. How social media hasn't just reflected this stuff, it's massively amplified the impact on body image.
Yeah, we're looking at this really interesting study. It's called something like Uploading Your Best Self, Selfie Editing and Body Dissatisfaction. And the main finding is, well, it's pretty striking. A bit worrying, actually.
What really stood out from that research was the direct link they found. Basically, the more often people edit their own selfies, tweaking the lighting, smoothing skin, maybe subtly changing a feature, the more dissatisfied they are overall with how they actually look. Their body, their face, the whole package.
So it's not just seeing other people's perfect pictures?
No, that's part of it. We know comparison happens. But the crucial thing here is the act of actively creating that improved, idealized version of yourself, that digital polishing act. That's what really seems to crank up the desire to be thinner and simultaneously knocks down your real-world self-esteem. It's like you're setting yourself up.
Wow. So it's moved beyond just, I compare myself to others and feel bad. Now it's, I compare myself to the perfected me I just made, and now I feel even worse. That's a really twisted loop, isn't it?
It really is. And you might try to justify it, right? Tell yourself, oh, I look fine normally. I just don't want this one photo to look bad. Like it's just a harmless touch-up.
Yeah, everyone does it a bit, maybe.
But the research confirms it still has significance. Even those seemingly innocent filters, the basic retouching tools on your phone, they become part of this whole cycle of self-critique and unhappiness. They constantly whisper that your natural self isn't quite right. It's a slow chipping away at self-acceptance.
It basically turns putting yourself online into this constant need for validation, where making your digital self perfect makes you feel worse about your real self.
Precisely. The bigger the gap between the ideal online you and the real you, the worse you feel. And social media, it just turbocharges the spread of these ideals, especially thinness, way faster than 90s magazines ever could.
Oh, for sure. The sheer number of images, the algorithms pushing certain looks, the instant feedback. It's like those messages are everywhere all the time, reaching way more people. It's a totally different scale of influence.
Which leads us right into thinking about the pendulum swing, the rise, and, well, what feels like the surprisingly quick fall of mainstream body positivity.
Yeah, let's be real about it. That whole period of body positivity, the big mainstream push, it felt like it kind of peaked and started fading around, 2019?
It really didn't get much time in the sun, did it? Before we saw this incredibly fast, almost aggressive swing back towards ultra-thin bodies taking over feeds again.
It felt whiplash fast.
And it seemed to be powered by a whole new set of social media trends. Remember all those what I eat in a day videos, often showing super restrictive meals?
Oh, yeah. And the home workout crazes, like Chloe Ting during the lockdown. Everyone was doing those.
Exactly. And while they were often framed as being about health or fitness, they definitely pushed a very specific, very lean body type as the goal, maybe without always meaning to.
Right? They presented a certain look as the natural result of being healthy, which just narrowed that ideal body definition even more.
And you can see this playing out really clearly with some big brands. Two obvious examples are Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh, Victoria's Secret. For decades, they weren't just selling underwear, they were basically dictating the angelic body ideal. That was the look.
Their fashion show was like a major cultural event every year, wasn't it? Cementing that super narrow, specific look in everyone's minds. They absolutely set this incredibly restrictive, hypersexualized, and frankly, exclusionary standard. Their whole identity was built on that one type of tall, skinny model.
But then things shifted, didn't they? They got into hot water.
Big time. Around 2018, 2019, they faced huge criticism, lack of diversity, objectifying women, some really tone-deaf comments from execs. It all blew up.
Drop too, I remember.
Yeah, the public mood had changed. So by 2021, they announced this massive strategy change, trying to be more inclusive. It was a direct response to all that pressure, maybe a bit late, but it was a huge turnaround for a brand that had been so dominant, a real wake-up call.
And then Abercrombie and Fitch, wow. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, they weren't subtle about it at all. They literally created a cult of beautiful people.
They were incredibly open about it, hiring only those young, model-esque employees who fit that very specific, slim, athletic, European-American look.
The CEO, Michael Jeffries, even said outright their clothes were only for cool, beautiful, and slim people. Wow.
And that blatant exclusion, that discrimination, it had real consequences. In 2004, they got hit with a massive class action lawsuit. Racial discrimination, appearance discrimination.
Because they weren't promoting non-white staff or staff who didn't fit the look.
Exactly. They ended up settling for over $40 million. It was huge. And that whole saga led to that Netflix documentary in 2022, White Hot, which really laid bare their practices in Jeffrey's statements.
A stark reminder of how openly discriminatory brands could be back then, chasing that narrow ideal and the massive cost, financial and reputational.
Huge repercussions. It definitely changed how brands could operate, at least openly, which leads us into this fascinating, almost ironic area, memes, marketing, and how they still have such a grip. Because this whole cycle seems to be repeating, but now with this weird layer of self-awareness.
Like the return of heroin chic.
Yes, that was a really noticeable and honestly kind of unsettling TikTok trend late 2022, exploding in 2023. The hashtag heroin chick was everywhere. People debating, sometimes even celebrating that super, super thin 90s look coming back.
Major fashion mags, like Dazed and The Guardian, were writing about heroin chic 2.0. It showed how quickly these aesthetics, even ones linked to unhealthy lifestyles, can just pop back up repackaged.
It really speaks to the cyclical nature of these things, doesn't it? And maybe how short our cultural memory can be.
And then you have the almond mom meme. Everyone seems to know that one now.
Right. The mom who's supposedly obsessed with her kids' nutrition, but really it's all geared towards weight loss, often in subtle ways. Yolanda Hadid, Gigi, and Bella's mom became kind of the poster child for it, even if unintentionally.
And the meme is meant to be ironic, right? Making fun of extreme dieting culture.
Supposedly. But here's the twist. While it's making fun, it's also kind of normalizing that anxious relationship with food. By joking about it, it can make it seem less serious, maybe even relatable.
That's a tricky line, isn't it? Satire accidentally making the target okay.
It absolutely is. It exposes this unhealthy dynamic, but might also legitimize it a bit. And we've seen it evolve, too, into things like almond dater, like being the almond daughter. But in your own relationships, putting those same anxieties onto partners or dating.
Wow. So these ideas about control and appearance just keep seeping into everything.
They really do, which links to the whole that girl aesthetic.
Oh, that girl. Perfect routine, perfect body, perfect diet.
Yeah.
All over social media.
Presented as this effortlessly achievable ideal life. And again, often with that ironic wink, like, yeah, we know this is a bit much.
But does the irony cancel out the pressure?
Apparently not. Research, like a study in the journal Body Image, shows that even when this content is funny or ironic, it still makes women feel worse about their bodies. The irony doesn't shield you, it just makes the message easier to swallow, maybe harder to consciously reject.
It's like social media just spreads these ideals so much faster than the old ways, faster than those 90s magazines ever could.
Oh, absolutely. While those magazines, Elle, Cosmo, they were definitely full of quick weight loss tips, model thinness secrets, lose 10 kilograms by summer.
Often with advice that was, frankly, borderline dangerous, right? Verging on eating disorder territory.
Totally. But social media hits you instantly, globally, and it's personalized by algorithms. The
Yeah.
speed, the reach, the constant stream. It's just a different beast entirely. What used to be a monthly magazine is now a 247 feed.
Speaking of that history, there's a book that often comes up in academic circles. Body Panic, Gender, Health, and the Selling of Fitness. Gives some really important background on how we got here.
Yeah, it's super insightful. It really breaks down how the health and fitness industry actively created a new body standard using clever marketing.
How so?
It details how they used really aggressive language, like war on fat or battle for the body, especially in the early 2000s.
Wow, like military terms.
Exactly. And it wasn't accidental. That language was designed to create a sense of threat and fear, to make you feel anxious about your own body, like it was an enemy you had to fight.
And their products were the weapons.
Precisely. That military metaphor rhetoric was a powerful marketing tool. It basically manufactured insecurity on a massive scale and then sold the solution.
So it wasn't just selling fitness, it was selling the problem first.
Yes. And this ties into the whole clean eating culture that really took off in the late 90s, early 2000s.
How did that work?
Well, the beauty and wellness industry cleverly jumped on things like detoxes and cleanses. They framed them not just as weight loss, but as body renewal.
Making it sound holistic and healthy.
Exactly. And this is where food started getting moral labels. Clean meant good, right. Other foods became wrong, dirty. Suddenly your food choices had this heavy moral weight.
Creating guilt and shame around eating certain things.
Yes. It fostered this really anxious, sometimes disordered relationship with food for a lot of people. Brilliant marketing, really. Blurring the lines between health, morals, and how you look.
So when you think about all that background, the marketing, the societal pressure, and then you look at the body positivity movement, it really does feel like there was a massive miscommunication, doesn't it?
It does. It's like we all just didn't understand what we were supposed to love about ourselves because society was still hammering away, criticizing weight, faces, everything. The messages were just completely contradictory.
Body positivity said, love yourselves.
And society, the market, the media whispered back, sometimes shouted back, no way, not like that.
Yeah. Maybe the movement was just too early. Maybe we weren't ready for this conversation as a whole culture.
It feels plausible. The underlying pressures, the industries built on insecurity, they were just too strong. It made it incredibly hard for people to genuinely embrace that self-love when the world was still judging them so harshly by these narrow commercial ideals. A noble idea, maybe, but perhaps the foundations weren't there yet.
Which brings us right up to the present, looking at the evolving ideal and the increasing role of medical interventions. Because the ideal didn't just snap back to thing, it got more complicated.
Right. We're seeing loads of articles talking about how thinness is back, but crucially, they're exploring the growing importance of muscularity in the female ideal of a thin body, especially in Western culture.
So not just thin, but thin and toned, or even properly muscular.
Exactly. This hybrid ideal, you have to be slender, but also visibly strong and sculpted. It really intensifies the pressure. You need to be graceful, but also look physically powerful. It's a tough combination.
And it affects everyone, right? Even women who aren't into sports are seeing this everywhere.
Absolutely. Mass culture bombards everyone with these images. It's presented as the symbol of discipline and success, turning a body type into a sign of virtue.
And this has even spawned new terms like fitspiration, fit plus inspiration.
Yeah, that whole trend of using images of athletic people for motivation. But what starts as inspiration can quickly morph into just relentless pressure.
And the social side of this is intense, especially for younger women. There was an article in 2020, I Hear, Therefore I Judge, looking at how young women perceive their bodies.
What did it find?
It found that when young women talked about fitness inspiration with their friends, instead of feeling motivated, they actually felt even more pressure, constantly comparing themselves to each other, to the images.
Wow. So even talking about it reinforces the pressure.
Seems like it. And personally, I know that cycle. Trying really hard these extreme attempts to prove something with diet and exercise based on these ideals. It often just led to feeling worse, not better. A spiral of frustration. It's hard to get out of.
It really is. And this whole situation throws a harsh light on a weird discrepancy, doesn't it? The almost infinite money and huge budgets going into aesthetic procedures and research
Yeah.
compared to the apparent lack of interest or demand for proper research into major women's health issues.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, endometriosis. Debilitating condition affects maybe 10% of reproductive age women globally, possibly more, because it's often missed. Causes terrible pain, infertility sometimes.
And it's still hard to diagnose.
Yeah, still not properly diagnosed for so many. The average delay is like 7 to 10 years, which means that 10% figure could be way low.
That's shocking. So why is it then that every year we get a new trend for eye shapes, new kinds of eyelid surgery, facelifts that are even more invisible, or some amazing new safe weight loss method?
Constant innovation in aesthetics.
Right. Billions poured into that. But not the same push for research into something like endometriosis, which affects millions so severely. The priorities seem skewed.
It definitely suggests society values perfecting appearance over tackling fundamental health problems, especially those mainly affecting women. And this is maybe clearest right now with the explosion of drugs like Ozempic.
Oh, Ozempic. It's everywhere. More than just popular. It's a cultural moment.
Absolutely. There was a big financial report in 2023 looking at sales growth for semaglutide. That's the drug in Ozempic and Wegovy. It reported a massive 300% sales growth.
300%.
And they expected even more growth for 2023, 2024. And then, adding another layer of complexity and concern, this term started popping up in 2023, 2024, Ozempic babies.
Ozempic babies. What does that mean?
It points to a really serious issue. The safety of semaglutide for pregnant women and fetuses has not been proven.
Right. So taking it while pregnant?
Could carry unknown, potentially serious risks. The guidelines actually say stop taking it well before trying to conceive because we just don't have enough data. It's a major concern given how fast people adopted it for weight loss, maybe without fully grasping all the potential long-term effects.
Especially for people who might become pregnant.
Exactly. And the whole Ozempic faces and bodies discussion really reignited around June 2025, right after that big Bezos wedding.
Yeah, the guest list was insane. Kris Jenner, Oprah, Bill Gates, Khloe Kardashian. And the commentary online was intense, noticing how many guests had visibly lost weight.
Khloe Kardashian looked incredible in that pink dress. That definitely got people talking. And there was that viral TikTok analyzing Kris Jenner's new face she debuted just the month before. Huge buzz around that.
What was the take in the video?
The creator argued something really interesting, that Kris Jenner's new look wasn't just cosmetic tweaking, it was like launching a new product. That the Kris Jenner we see now, matriarch, mogul, is a carefully crafted new character for her public role.
Wow, not just before and after, it's much deeper.
Yeah, suggesting a strategic reinvention. The video even floated the idea that Kendall Jenner's face might be the family's source or ideal aesthetic standard now, that she won the genetic lottery with features that fit the current ideal perfectly. It really changes how you think about celebrity makeovers.
It totally reframes it. Not just personal choice, but maybe a calculated business move. Maintaining relevance, market value. Which leads us straight into our last segment, celebrity culture and the business of beauty.
Because things have changed so much, haven't they? It used to be this unspoken rule that celebs almost never admitted to cosmetic work. There was this pressure to seem like you were aging naturally, beautifully. Effortless perfection.
Like Jennifer Aniston, Cameron Diaz, Tari Hatcher, they were always held up as examples, even if maybe things were more complicated behind the scenes. But that's really shifted.
Completely. Now the audience's eyes are practically trained on Kris Jenner and facelifts. People aren't just watching, they're curious. They almost want to see the results on other stars. When someone like Cameron Diaz appears, people look for the signs.
And the numbers back this up.
Definitely. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons reported a huge jump, 22% increase in facelifts for women over 50 in the U.S. between 2020 and 2023. And surgeons often link it directly to celebrity influence and this new openness. It trickles down.
And it's not just big surgeries. Think about Botox.
Oh, yeah. Sofia Vergara was really open about it in a 2024 interview. She said something like, I've been doing Botox on my neck and around my eyes for a long time, and I want to try everything I can in the future when I'm ready.
It sounds almost like a manifesto, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's my right to choose how I look and age. No shame.
And then Lindsay Lohan went even further in an Elle interview, basically saying, everyone does Botox, and if you say you don't, who are you? you're lying.
Wow, just calling it out as the norm.
Yeah. And while she denied bigger surgery rumors, her own glow-up was massive, right? A huge part of her comeback story. Her refreshed look was definitely seen as key to her professional resurgence.
So that connects directly to the idea of changing your appearance for your career, for business.
Absolutely. And she talked about developing her own cosmetic line, testing serums. It all feeds into this narrative that to achieve success after a long break, a woman must look impeccable. Lifestyle changes matter, sure, but her appearance definitely played a role in signaling this polished, new professional brand.
Which brings us to the future of the beauty industry itself.
Yeah.
What's the prediction there?
The big prediction is a massive shift towards personalized procedures. Things that are quick, don't need much recovery time, but are pricey, and crucially, need regular upkeep.
Like Botox, fillers, laser treatments, things you have to keep going back for.
Exactly. It's not about a one-and-done fix. The whole industry model is shifting to keep clients in a constant cycle of improvements. It guarantees repeat business.
An ongoing revenue stream.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really sci-fi. The planned integration of artificial intelligence and biotech
AI and beauty. How?
to predict changes in appearance. Imagine AI showing you how your face oval will drop or where wrinkles might form in 5–10 years.
All right, wow.
But then immediately offering prevention strategies you can start today. It's like predictive maintenance for your face.
Predictive marketing, basically.
Yeah.
Sell the solution before the problem even fully exists.
Exactly. And some clinics are already looking at subscription models. Pay a monthly fee, get procedures done when something needs to be done to maintain an ideal image.
The underlying message is,
You will always need something. The industry is essentially saying, don't worry, we'll always find something for you to fix or enhance. Perfection is always just out of reach, but we can help you chase it. An endless cycle powered by tech and marketing.
what a journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a lot: the shifting beauty standards, pop culture's role, social media's magnifying glass, the brief rise and fall of body positivity, the marketing machine, the irony of memes, and now this huge business of aesthetics fueled by medical tech.
We've really seen how the market and our attitudes about beauty are changing fast.
Yeah?
And the pressure, it's hitting everyone now, though. Let's be honest, it's still probably stronger, definitely more complex for women.
So looking way ahead, like 100 years.
Yeah.
What are the possible scenarios?
Well, maybe two main paths. One, cycles will continue to repeat. We'll keep seeing these phases, thinness cults, then maybe a backlash, then something else. History just keeps rhyming. The pendulum keeps swinging.
Okay. That's one possibility. What's the other?
The other, maybe slightly more dystopian view is that technologies and media will solidify the thinness standard or some specific aesthetic for a very long time.
Oh.
Through that fusion of technology and beauty, personalized AI procedures could literally maintain these standards longer than ever before in history. If you can perfectly sculpt and maintain an ideal look indefinitely, maybe that look just sticks, making anything different seem even more wrong.
That's a heavy thought.
It is. But there's always the human element, right? Social movements for body positivity or body neutrality can still slow down this process. They offer a counterstory, pushing for acceptance, diversity, challenging the commercial forces driving these narrow ideals. It's about choosing to define beauty differently.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with some big questions, doesn't it? How do you navigate all this yourself? And maybe, should celebrities be more upfront about the work they get done, given their influence?
Yeah, and while historically women bore the brunt of these beauty demands, the new pressures, the tech, it touches everyone now in different ways, though that burden still isn't equal.
Absolutely. So amidst all this noise, all these shifting ideals and pressures, just remember this: you are beautiful.